Imagine for a second, the bad news is that everybody's been fired from their job. But the good news is I'm starting Crew Company right now, and your salaries have just been doubled. And there's a bonus of 5 times your salary now, and our mission now on day 1 of our new company is to improve patient care using these technologies that we're talking about today. And right next door to us is a conference room just like this, with the same beautiful curtains and the 2 giant chandeliers. And their mission is to promote misinformation and keep people from treating, as Barbara talked about, their cardiac issues, keep them fat, keep them smoking, and keep them unhealthy. And if you just think like that for a moment, we're getting a butt kicked by the room next door because we're boring patients to death. And we're all patients. I'm a patient. I heard earlier today that, we talked about doctors are diagnosing, but that patients use each other. I was actually diagnosed through my audience because I complained about not feeling my right hand leg. Somebody said, hey, I think it's sciatica. I went in and videotaped my NP to tell her that I was pregnant because sciatica was clearly an indication that I was going to be the first pregnant male. And instead, it turned out to be a bag, a back, what is it called again, Jack? Yeah, a bad back. So I'm a patient. I'm a father of 4. I want better care for my kids, and I'm so thrilled that we've got this convergence of wonderful new technology, and we got the boomers putting serious pressure. And I think that over the past year and in the next few years, we're going to see greater changes to healthcare than ever before. And I think it's our responsibility now as practitioners in this space, whether we're a manufacturer, a nonprofit, a hospital, to raise the bar and make healthcare and health treatment interesting. And by that, I want to show you a video that I'd just like you to imagine is from the room next door. They've just come out with this. Can we get the monitor up? This is actually a video that Samsung's put out, but just imagine. So wasn't that cool? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but my brain went Technicolor. And I shouldn't be presenting you this because it stands in opposition with the whole thesis of my book I published last week called Beyond Viral. I don't want us to try to get a viral hit like this, but every once in a while, one comes along that just, I don't know about you, but I watched that like 15 times. I've gone back and forth with the people that created this in the UK because I had to know how they did it. Does anybody want to guess? Yeah, so they actually shot the girl, didn't tell her she was auditioning, and so we're going to have a dance party, do a silly dance, and then they spent the next 2 weeks training 20 people to learn that exact dance and light up behind us. And if you Google for health information, you're going to find misinformation, you're going to find this kind of thing, you're going to find so much. So what I hope you'll take away is a few things to make sure that this room is louder and more interesting than the one next door. So the topic is Dr. YouTube, we'll see now, but I use YouTube as synonymous like Scotch tape is to sticky tape. You know, it's video, but we're talking about online video, we're talking about keeping it interesting, and we're talking about making sure that the right information is easier to access than the bogus stuff, the herbal medications that make, you know, ridiculous claims. So why do you care? Because it is growing extremely fast, just like the uptake in smartphones. How many people here have a smartphone? Okay, now, how many people last year had a smartphone? You're cutting edge, you don't count. 2 years ago, anybody? You're lying, you're lying. Your phone wasn't that smart 2 years ago. But we've seen the doctors, physician uptake on use of social media and smartphones is just growing. It's growing with orders of magnitude. It's extremely visceral. That dance communicated a lot. It didn't have to lay claims in fair balance. It didn't have to get into the science. It brought an emotion out, and I think emotion is required for behavioral change. And lastly, everybody's chasing the viral dream and looking at pre-rolls, and there are so many more interesting things that we can do with an online video strategy. And actually, I wouldn't even advocate that we have an online video strategy. I don't want the tail to wag the dog, the technology to drive the strategy. But I think video can complement a good marketing strategy. And Google loves video. If you Google the word fart, you will find me on the first page. And that is something that will be written on my tombstone, quite proudly. If you search for information related to the therapeutic area you look at, what do you find? Is the video the right one? This is so easy to fix. Go home tonight, take whatever video content you have, tag it appropriately with natural words, transcribe the entire video into the description. You've got a huge place to work with. Tag the heck out of it, and you'd be surprised how quickly your stuff can move up Google. And that's free once you've done it, right? It doesn't cost you anything. And so that's a very easy thing to fix, and yet most of us aren't doing that. Likewise, you can play in other areas. I don't typically like to advise a hospital, a manufacturer, to talk directly to consumers. I find consumers talking to consumers works much more effectively. So manufacturers have so many limits. It's better to get our advocates going, right? And we can unleash our advocates, whether that's physician KOLs or redefining what an advocate is, too, because how many of you have heard of Fred from YouTube? Hands, anybody? Okay. Usually at these conferences, I get 1 or 2 hands up, but he's like the rock star of YouTube. How about Annoying Orange? Anybody? I'm going to be guest starring on Annoying Orange this Friday. This is like a really big deal for my kids. I play the knife. Yeah, I play the knife. So these are like, this is what people are watching right now, and there are KOLs. These people are happy to carry health information forward. Most of us are all too happy about promoting a particular cause. We don't get access, you know, by many people asking us to promote a cause, but we're willing to do so, and it can have extreme influence. And believe it or not, there are examples. Up in the corner there is Dr. Alan Bauman. He's a physician, and he and I are presenting to the International Hair Transplant Society in Boston next month, because I went to him after working on Propecia for a few years, and I said, hey, you're the best guy in the space. You're big on social. How about, you know, I'll do a video, you do a hair transplant. And he's thrilled with it. In fact, now he's doing other YouTubers' hair transplants. This is hair that was moved from another part of my body. The other part of the head, so in case you're wondering. But he teaches me about Facebook. I mean, this guy's like deep and savvy in the space, and he's willing to teach his peers. This is the kind of guy that we need to redefine physician KOL. If they're active in social media, they're important to us. They're as important as if they're writing for the reputed medical journals. And this really, really works for him. He actually couldn't take a holiday after this video because and it's a flat market. There's not a lot of business coming into hair transplants, and few celebrities will endorse a hair transplant because it's just seen as being vain. Guilty. I want to talk about one of the most interesting studies because I really wanted to find something that spoke to this crowd. And I did a lot of digging and found this study that used to promote awareness of cervical cancer and treatment in California. And what they did was distribute, promotional materials and educational materials, but then they also emulated a Thai soap opera. And they had sort of a protagonist and antagonist. And through behavioral modeling in the video, they created a desire among the audience to go and get treated. Video works. It educates, it inspires, it motivates, and it gets patients doing what is very difficult to do. Right? It's really hard to create lasting behavioral change, and that's a problem we all face. And technology and video is amplifying that and making it easier. So, key points. Post your content. Just don't leave it on your own site or leave it in your drawers. Get it out on YouTube. YouTube right now is highly indexed by Google for obvious reasons. It's owned by Google. So it's a really easy way to get your content in front of patients when they're searching for health information. Don't worry about the fact that you're going to be surrounded with cats and skateboards. What's important is that when people search for health information, they find you instead of the room next door. You can get deeper in the space through your KOLs or through your influencers. It's always a good idea to have a human face, look at the camera instead of, and for goodness sakes, keep it interesting. In pharma, I advise to do non-branded. And that doesn't mean that you're growing a category. It just means that we start the marketing funnel by using no branding, because otherwise we're going to laden the thing with fair balance and no one will ever look at it. And then invite them into further conversations so they can learn about a particular product. And that's the best way to do it with entertainment, to do it with education, to keep it interesting. And video, of all the forms of social media, I think you'll agree, is the most visceral. The written word is not nearly as strong as the spoken word delivered with passion.